Hey everybody, happy Sunday, happy 2026. Looks like we're starting off the year with quite the news cycle. There has been a military action in Venezuela. The Venezuelan leader, Nicolas Maduro, has been taken back to New York. And there are a lot of questions about the current leadership and plan going forward in the country as the vice president has called for Maduro's release, and the opposition leader who claimed that the last election was rigged last year is not has not been definitively supported by the US. So we are looking at really interesting developments. I just wanted to share some quick thoughts, and I'll probably have thoughts throughout this whole process, especially as we do more research, learn more, read more. However, I am seeing a lot of institutionalists on the quote unquote anti Trump side who are very quick to, let's say, be negative about the developments, and for good reason. There's a lot of questions about legality. There are a lot of questions about how this will affect people on the ground going forward. Will it destabilize the country or not? But at the same time, there's this kind of impulse because Trump did it that now everything is awful. And I also hear from the same voices then trying to, and I'm really talking about people in like the bulwark, maybe not the neolibs, but there's kind of like a tacit agreement there, but like the neoconservatives where they're trying to say, well, this isn't even about democracy, or it's just clearly about oil, and at least Iraq had the veneer of being about democracy. And I think this is where the leaders of the anti-Trump coalition find themselves in a weak spot when it comes to understanding why the rest of the country is either not as shocked as they are or outright support it. And I think it's because Iraq was clearly about oil, and Americans felt lied to when it was marketed as democracy. And that has been a long running tradition in American military action. And even though this is crass and that people don't like the way it went down, at least there's a little bit of honesty about what this is about economic gain, about purely international relations and realpolitik coming together for purely American interest. And I think that we have to get away from the institutionalist voices who are still trying to litigate how Trump is a break from the before times, quote unquote, the noble before times, instead of really just reckoning with the fact that Trump is a continuation. And he is doing something that is part of a long U.S. history of taking these kind of actions, and it's not new. It might be done in more blatant and aggressive manners. It may be exploiting authorizations of military force and developments post 9/11 that people really are now thinking about as the Obama and Trump administrations exploit what the Bush administration really put into action after the 9/11 attacks. It's not the prettiest sight, but to just strictly make it around Trump is engaging in buffoonery or violent buffoonery and trying to make it as if he is this aberration that keeps, showing up a noble DC order that would have followed rules and norms before this. I think is misleading and feels a little bit gaslighty. And I get it. There are a lot of people who studied this for years, who worked in the institutions, who feel like this is just such a leap. But there was also a kind of quiet understanding that presidents were assuming power for a long time. And I saw this tweet by Sarah Longwell, and she was responding to Jack Goldsmith's article in Executive Functions. And Jack Goldsmith pretty much concludes that this is part of a long-running legal rationale that has gone back to George H.W. Bush and when Bill Barr was the Assistant Attorney General, for how the president can engage in these kind of actions even if it's against the UN Charter. And this has been a long running legal debate that is connected to the idea of the unitary executive. And unfortunately, that is beyond Trump. Trump is just the next continuation. It's not solely about Trump. And when we make it about, oh, Trump is doing these bad things and is an aberration, we're kind of pigeonholing ourselves to not really reckon with the long-term structural realities. And if Trump is maybe successful in what is happening, their oil outflow becomes consolidated by the U.S. successfully, or there is a regime change that's a little bit more stable than people previously thought it would be, then it will become a source of anger for the institutionalist, neoconservative, some neoliberal voices who run the pro-democracy, quote unquote, pro-democracy conversation. And instead of being able to reckon with the entire structure that Trump benefits from and that he's continuing, we are stuck in a conversation vortex with people who are psychologically trying to understand either whether they were lied to or gaslighting themselves or intentionally gaslighting us for all the years before Trump, so then trying to create this narrative that Trump is something separate from what came before him. And that's not helpful to any of us, because we need to just reckon with what Trump is, what part of the system he came from, and how it's really just about the American story and America's role in the world, whether we like that role or not, or whether we're comforted by myths or not. And stop trying to make this a whole Trump changed things, or Trump is blatantly awful, or buffoonery, or at least there was the veneer of legality or pro-democracy in the other military adventures that ended in quagmires. That doesn't help us, because that is serving a certain group of people's need to believe that they are not the harbingers or the prototype to Trumpism, and that they were doing something noble while Trumpism isn't. And that holds the entire country back from having an honest conversation. So those are my continued thoughts. Look out for more videos, writing, and just musings about the current path of 2026 as we go forward. It's already only January 4th, and we are doing it. So enjoy, watch some football today if you're into that, or find your moment of zen, read a nice book, talk to your grandmother or talk to your neighbor, and just enjoy the simple things in life. Subscribe to Stu on This. Consider becoming a paid subscriber. We have a deal running for 30% off for a full year, going for 2 more days. We have become a Substack bestseller thanks to the support of the audience, and we are going to keep this train rolling in 2026. So grab yourself a nice cup of coffee or a beignet or whatever you fancy, and let's keep on doing it. Have a good day, and talk to you later.